Greetings and salutations to all those out there in the Alele land as we resume our talk of honorable mention. And we are talking about the mitzvah of loving your fellow person the way you love yourself, and we digressed onto the subject of kavod habrios, respect for all human beings. We left off last time by talking about the fact that there's a rule in manufacturing that a product is as strong, is as good, as its weakest component. A chain is as strong as the weakest link. This is a great rule for manufacturing, a very poor rule, very bad rule, very destructive rule for human interaction. Unfortunately, we see someone doing something wrong, something compromising. This will always stay in our mind, always taint the way we look at the person. Instead of thinking it's the weakest part of the person, we think that's the essence of the person. Not a good policy. For example, you ask someone to do you a favor, and they refuse. And then a whole lifetime flashes before your eyes of a whole Beis Yaakov education, yeshiva education, how critical it is to do a chesed, help out other people. And yet when someone asks you for a favor and you decline, you have thousands of reasons to justify, to rationalize why you need not do something on their behalf. But we're always thinking, what kind of person is they don't want to do me a favor? Everyone knows you're supposed to do a favor when you're asked to do a favor. Okay, so how can we inculcate the proper ideas? So, the idea is, a person should see the good parts of a fellow person and not the drawbacks. The person, the way a person looks at others is the way he will be evaluated. And the true test is not how you are mechabed, how you respect and show deference and obeisance to someone you don't know. It's not how you respect someone who you care about, someone that you really respect, but rather how you respect someone who's a stranger. Thus, the question is not if you have a very prestigious, important, world-famous Rosh Yeshiva come to your house, there's no end to what you wouldn't do to make this person have the most wonderful time and have the greatest accommodations. Do you go through the same effort when you have a shopping bag lady man or shopping bag lady come to your house? When you have a total stranger stay in your house, do you go through the same effort? So, and Seder Yisrael Salanter, and you can't talk much without quoting Rabbi Yisrael, he would advise his students to be mechabed and provide chesed dafka for those people who get on your nerves. Let's give an example. Get on your nerves. The person who you're davening, and this person has more change in his pocket than Fort Knox, and he's clanging up and down. You're trying to daven, he's shuckling away, and the change is clanging and making you crazy. Or he's blowing his nose. He could make a Baal Tokea proud. He's blowing his nose in your face as you're davening. This person who's getting on your nerves, that's the person you have to show respect to. And instead of Yisrael Salanter, Kama Pa'amim B'chol Yom, several times a day. The test, the acid test, is not how you respect someone who's so prestigious, but how you respect someone who gets on your nerves. Oh, that's a hard one. Okay, that's a classic of Yisrael Salanter, who is always battling against putting yourself above someone else. The Gemara says, the Gemara in Brachos Chav Ches, we quoted this Gemara in an earlier class, when we spoke about Havayshim Rasi Aleichem, Rav Lozer, when Yochanan Zakkai was on his deathbed. The Gemara tells the story that Rav Lozer HaGadol, the great Gadol Hador, was on his deathbed. And his Talmidim gathered around, for they realized that when he would pass, the world would be darker and colder. Yalamdeinu Rabbeinu, please Rebbe, give us a bracha, give us a message, something to carry on in this world which will be so much colder and darker in your absence. And he provides a long list, but begins by saying, Hisharu b'chvod chavrechem, be careful about your friend's respect. Hisharu, be careful about your friend's respect. And mashal, what is this analogous to? Let's say someone in the hood is getting married, someone in your neighbor is getting married, and everyone's going to go to the wedding. So you walk out of your house, you walk out of your dumpy house, and of course you walk out the door, never even closes, it just hangs there weakly on the hinge. You walk across your dumpy lawn, and you get into your Plymouth Duster circa 1975. Don't laugh, that was our family car. Needless to say, the door doesn't work on the driver's side. Actually doesn't work on the passenger side either. You have to crawl through the window, and the crank also doesn't work, and you have to then push up the window, and then you climb over to the driver's seat, and you finally kick on the engine, and you make it your cruising speed of 35 miles an hour. Now as you're doing this, your next door neighbor, He steps out of his mansion, the door pneumatically closes. He walks across his manicured lawn, gets into his latest model Lexus, turns on the engine, he's out of there. And this guy's really getting on your nerves. An example I heard from Rabbi Yosher Rubinstein. The guy's really getting on your nerves. And of course your neighbor parks valet parking, and you park 5 blocks away, no one should see what you're driving. The guy is getting under your skin. He's on your nerves. You walk into the hall, and who should you bump into? None other than Eliyahu Navi. And Eliyahu Navi, and he says to you, how would you like to drive a late model Lincoln Continental? You say, I could live with that. So says Eliyahu, all you have to do is show respect. That's all you have to show respect, that's all. And you say, you hear this? You're going to get a Lincoln Continental. You run into the hall. Your neighbor, the guy who's really getting